Hi, welcome to the virtual orientation for the 34 RLOK by Jayco. We're going to do the virtual orientation. We're going to begin on the outside of the RV. We're going to start near the front. First thing we're going to look at is your Blackstone grill. This is new, so we've left the advertisement on it, but essentially easy to hook up. You have this receiver and post system, and then they sit on top of each other, and the grill sits on top of this bracket, and it's pretty straightforward. It's connected via this hose here, like this, just thread it on. And then on the trailer end, it's connected via this quick connect propane port. One thing when connecting to this, first, when you're connecting, make sure the propane port is off, which in this position it is. And once connected, you will have to turn it to the on position, which it is in now. So once we connect the quick connect propane port, turn on the gas, and then in order to light, you simply press the knob in, turn, and it automatically sparks and lights for you. So we come around, we'll come to your front pass-through storage compartment. You'll see that the door clasp is magnetic, which is always a nice feature. Some things you may find in the front compartment here. One, it will be the your Blackstone grill. Two, we'll find your manual cranks for the electric tongue jack, and the manual crank for your stabilization jacks. The stabilization jacks are found at the four corners of the trailer, and as the name suggests, and you may have guessed, they are used to stabilize the RV. They should never be used to level. You should have your RV mostly level prior to engaging the stabilization jacks. And depending on where you are camping or where you have the RV parked, some extra blocking may be required. Generally 6x6s are a good choice, and that way if you're on uneven ground, you can always place the 6x6 under and still snug up and stabilize the RV and stop it from moving around on you when you're inside. So we continue along the front. We'll point out your battery storage area, and directly in front of that we have your double 30-pound propane storage area and crossover regulator system. How this crossover regulator works, you'll see it has a handle on it that is pointing to this tank. Now you can switch that handle manually if you wish, just turns. Before I go any further, actually I want to dispel one thing that I've heard a couple times, is I think people feel like if the handle's not to this tank or not to this tank and it's simply in the middle, that it closes off both tanks, and that's just not true. Anyways, if the handle of the regulator is pointing to this tank, it will draw from this tank first. Once this tank drops below a predetermined amount of pressure, it will automatically cross over and draw from the other tank, regardless of which way this handle is pointing. Right below the propane storage, we have your safety breakaway switch. The safety breakaway switch is connected to the tow vehicle on the loop end and connected to the pin and in this housing on the trailer end. In the event that the tow vehicle is separated from the RV unexpectedly, the pin will be pulled free of the housing, engaging the trailer brakes. Also, I've seen the odd time if this gets caught up while you're hitching up, maybe a step on it or anything really. Sometimes it'll get pulled free of the housing, but not fully pulled free, just enough to engage the brakes but not pull the pin all the way out. In which case it's very possible that the trailer brakes are engaged without you realizing it. So if something funky is going on with your brakes, come here and see if maybe the pin just needs to be fully seated into the housing. The next thing we're going to come to is your electric tongue jack. It has your extend, retract, or up and down, however you want to look at it. Has this nice loading light, and right on the top here there is a rubber stopper that you can remove and utilize the manual crank that I showed you earlier. As we continue along, the next thing we're going to come to is this nice little front light. Again, help with loading, help with any kind of work you might have to do, whether it's propane or something with the battery. If it's nighttime, it's always handy to have a little bit of extra light. So we continue along the front. I didn't show you on the other side, but one thing you'll notice is these side marker lights have this extra thickness to them. What this is a pre-wired housing for a side view camera. These side view cameras have to be purchased separately, but can be used in conjunction with your tow vehicle via a screen, so you can see what the cameras are showing inside the tow vehicle as you're driving. And in some RVs, you also have the capability of plugging into the 12 volt inside the RV, and the cameras can be used almost like a security camera. We have a storage compartment here that is actually outside access to your underbed storage. And while we're over here, we have one of the valve handles underneath this slide. Right there, that is a gray water valve handle. Just making you aware of the location, as it is fairly separated from the rest of the valves. So as we make our way out around from this slide, I'll drop down here, and we'll just show you the output for the black and gray water tanks, and then the separate valve handles here and here for your black and gray water tanks. So there are three valve handles, 1, 2, and then if you're like me and you put the slide out ahead of time, you're gonna have to crawl under and get the third one under there. But if you're smarter than me, you can do that before you put the slide out. We have your outdoor shower, and then we have 1, 2, 3 connection points for your water. Top one is your black tank flush. One thing you want to make sure you do when you use this, you hook your garden hose up here, thread it in. Before you turn it on to flush the tank, make sure the output is open and connected to a septic system of some sort, but also make sure your black water valve handle is open. Right below that, we have your city water connection. This is where you connect the end of your garden hose in order to pressurize the onboard water system in the RV. Once you connect the hose and pressurize the system and basically get the air out of the system, you will be able to use the water system of the RV pretty much the same way you would at home. Directly beside the city water connection, we have your potable water fill point. If you're going to be camping somewhere that there is not a water supply, or somewhere where the water supply isn't potable, then you could fill your freshwater tank beforehand, which you would do here, and fill the freshwater tank beforehand and then draw from the freshwater tank with the water pump. You have your 50 amp connection point here. Whether you're at home or a campground, this is where you connect your 50 amp cord, and then the other end you would connect to the receptacle, either at the campground or at home. Most people do not have a 50 or even a 30 amp receptacle, and some RV parks also don't have a 50 amp receptacle. Or even if maybe sites are hard to come by and you have to camp with only a 30 amp because there just weren't any 50 amp available, we provide you with the needed conversion blocks to drop you down from a 50 amp plug-in to a 30. And then inside you will also be provided with a block that converts from the 30 amp plug-in to a 15 amp. That way when you're at home, you probably don't have a 30 or a 50 amp receptacle, so you merely put in the conversion blocks and you can still utilize some power from for the RV from your home using the existing 15 amp receptacles. So directly beside and above, we have your outside access to your hot water tank. You'll see we have your drain cap here, as well as the pressure relief valve. The important thing to note here is always open the pressure relief valve before removing the drain cap. If you don't, once you get to the last thread or so of the drain cap, it's going to come shooting out at you, along with quite a bit of water. It's always a good idea to relieve the pressure in the tank before you remove the cap. Well, before we move further, I just want to take a quick second. Make note of your low point drains. These are the low point drains for your freshwater tank. So if you've filled your freshwater tank and you want to empty them, then this is how you would do so. Next item that we should talk about would be your venting for your refrigerator. Now, in order for the refrigerator to operate properly, this needs to remain obstruction free at all times so we can get max airflow through here and in behind the refrigerator. So we come around to the back corner. Just before we go around the back side of the RV, we'll make note of the main input for the cable or satellite TV for the RV. And as we come around fully to the back now, we'll make note of the roof access via a ladder, as well as at the top center is the pre-wired housing for a rear view camera. Now, previously I talked about the side view camera. This can work in conjunction with that system, and functions the same way via a head unit that can be viewed either inside the RV via the 12-volt connection point or inside your vehicle. And it gives you great access and viewing of the rear of the RV while you're driving or while you're inside. Continue along the outside. We'll make note of your outdoor kitchen here. This outdoor kitchen, you have your fridge, but we also have your cooktop. And this cooktop operates much in the same way as you would any kind of barbecue burner that you would light. This one, much like the Blackstone grill, is connected via a quick connect propane hose and is connected under here to the quick connect propane port. So moving along, we've come almost full circle now. A couple more things to show you out here. So you'll note here we have 120 volt power supply, an output for your cable or satellite system, as well as a mounting bracket. This is used in conjunction with a mounting bracket for your TV, so you can see your TV out underneath your awning if you choose to do so. Also, on the end of the top of the awning, or at the head of the awning on either end, you'll notice that there is a speaker. Those speakers can be used with the stereo system inside the RV. So we step inside. One of the first things we'll notice is the fire extinguisher. Very important piece of safety equipment, and a great position for it just inside the door. It allows you easy access from outside or inside, wherever you may be cooking or you may need it the most. Directly in front, as soon as you come through the door, we have your thermostat. This thermostat uses a capacitive touch button, meaning it's not mechanical. You don't have to physically press hard and depress it. Very light touch to cycle through your options from your fan, high, low, or auto, your AC or your furnace settings. And then once you're in either of those modes, I'm not going to do it because it kicks the fan on and makes it really loud. You can use the up and down arrows to change the temperature or cycle through the fan modes of high, low, or auto. We'll slide over just a little bit. We'll open this cabinet that's right in front of you. As soon as you come through the door, a lot of your important controls are here. We have control for your slides in and out for your two main area slides here, as well as your awning. Switching for the main light of the RV and for your awning light. And then your indication panel here, allowing you to check the level of your battery, your freshwater, and then your gray and black water tanks. Here you'll also find switching for your water pump and for your water heater on gas and electric. Let's head into the bedroom, take a little look around. So we come into the bedroom, we'll notice that the controls for the bedroom slide are here. And earlier I showed you the door outside for access to the underbed storage, and you can also access it from here. under the bed. We have access to the bathroom off the bedroom or off the main hallway there. And in this bathroom, one of the important things that we'll make note of is the unit GFCI. This GFCI, if tripped, will show you a red light. If that red light's on, that means anything on the load side of this GFCI plug will not be functioning. Typical things you might find on the load side of the GFCI plug would be your outdoor plugs, any plug near water or on the counter. So if you find that you do not have functioning receptacles, this would be a good area to come and check to make sure that it is not tripped. To reset it, there's a black button on the top that you merely press and it will reset. Before we leave the bathroom here, we're going to take a look at this cabinet directly across from your toilet, and we will take a look at the water pump. So we have your water pump here, and you'll see that we have a fill tube. This fill tube, if you wish to use it, is for the winterizing of the RV. At the moment, you can see that the valve handle is pointing down in line with the hose that is drawing from your freshwater tank. So at the moment, the pump is set up to run off the freshwater tank. If you need to winterize, or you're going to winterize on your own, you'll have to open this cabinet. It's 2 red Robertson screws to remove this piece. And then you will have to switch this valve handle to point towards the fill tube, and that will allow you to draw from an antifreeze jug. However, for right now, we'll leave it in summer mode so you can draw from the freshwater tank if you choose to do so. You'll see that we have another mounting bracket in the bedroom, similar to the one outside, as well as an output for your cable or satellite and 120 volt power to run your TV. Now we also have over here a little charging center. This will give you access to USB charging as well as 12 volt charging. And right below or beside this, we also have your pre-wired location for solar. There are connection points on the roof of the RV that are pre-set up and pre-wired for solar panels. And then we have this for pre-wired for the head unit. Now this is a separate purchase. It doesn't come with the RV, but it is something that can be purchased separately and can be hooked up for you. We have your emergency exit here as well. It's important to know how these function. They're pretty simple, but if you've never done it or never seen it and you're in a panic, it might be a little harder than you'd think. So in order to use it, we'll press down lightly on this black tab, push the red handle over, out, bring it perpendicular to the window or the sidewall of the RV, and push it all the way out of the RV. Once the window is fully out of the RV, or the handle for the window is fully out of the RV, you can then remove via this red tab the screen and can escape to safety if needed. Let's make our way into the main portion of the RV. And the first thing we're going to talk about as we walk in here is your load center or power center. This is where you're going to find the breakers, much like you'd see in your house, and they function the same way, and the fuses like you might see in your automobile. These fuses also have an LED light that will light up to indicate there is an issue with an individual circuit. As we move into around the island, we'll make note of your carbon monoxide propane detector. This item has a button on the front that should be used to test the unit periodically. When pressed, this will issue a series of loud beeps. The green light will turn red. The beeping will stop. The light will turn back to green, and that indicates that the system is good to use, or it is going to be safely detecting the levels of propane and CO2. Now, usually the recommendation that I give for testing this is to test it in conjunction with your smoke detector. The smoke detector Usually the recommendation there is that you test it every 6 months, daylight savings time. And I usually suggest, just for ease of remembering, I try to group this in with the smoke detector, and that way you can remember hopefully to do both at the same time. Next we'll go to your pantry. We open your pantry door. We'll see that you have lots of shelving on the top half. That's great. And the bottom half is blocked off with this board here. There's 3 Red Robertson screws that you need to remove, and then it'll give you access to the back of your hot water heater. The reason why you would need access to the back of your hot water heater would be for winterizing. Basically, you'll see that we have one valve here and another valve here. These 2 valves are used to divert the water flow. In their current position, they will be diverting water into the hot water tank and then back out again. However, in winterizing, you do not want to fill your hot water tank with antifreeze. There's just no need to. That would be a lot of antifreeze. So you switch these valve handles to this position here. You do both, and then it will loop through here and bypass the hot water tank, and you will not need to use nearly as much antifreeze to do the winterizing. So as we turn to our left, we'll see your stove and range combo. They're nice looking units. The glass looks nice. However, always, before you go to light the appliance, make sure you open the glass fully. These will shatter. Also, don't place anything hot on top of them. And before you drive away with your RV and go to tow it anywhere, I would always make sure it's closed. We've had a few of them come in for various reasons. They get smashed, so just take a little extra care with it if you could. So, lighting. Turn to the light position. While it's in the light position, turn the sparking knob and it will automatically ignite the gas. Same can be said for all burners. The only difference is for the oven. And again, I would always make sure that you open the oven door before you attempt to light it. Here we turn to the light position, and the big difference here is that you have to push and hold the knob in while you turn the sparking knob. So your refrigerator has 3 modes. We have your auto mode, which will automatically select electricity if it's available. However, if electricity is not available, it'll switch over and draw from the propane system. We also have a straight up electric mode, so it'll only work on electric, and then we have gas only mode as well. Now sometimes you might notice, or you might have to attempt to light the fridge more than once when you first turn it on gas. The reason for that is often either the valves aren't open on the bottles out for the propane bottles out front, or you've just opened the bottles, there's just not enough pressure built up on the line, so when it goes to light, it doesn't get sufficient gas. Either way, turning it off, waiting for a minute or two, and then coming back to it should be enough to get it working for you. See, nice recliners with your side tables. And we have another emergency exit. It's also pretty simple. Flip the tabs on both handles and you'll be able to open the window and escape to safety. As we turn, we'll look at your TV, and we also have a fireplace here. On 30 amp models, or models with the 30 amp power supply, you're unable to use your hot water tank and your fireplace at the same time. So you'll find that there's a switch to switch you between the fireplace and your hot water heater. Well, this unit has a 50 amp power supply, so that eliminates the need to do that. You no longer have to manually switch between the fireplace there and your hot water tank, which is nice. We'll see in here that we have the cable input or output. An important thing to note here is the button above that at the moment it is set for antenna, and now it is set for your cable TV or your satellite. If you try to watch satellite with this on the antenna side, what it actually is an antenna booster, and it will mess up your signal from your satellite or cable. So always make sure it is on the cable side if you're attempting to use cable or satellite. Take a moment to speak of your the AC here. You'll notice that we have the unit, the inside portion of the unit up on the ceiling here. And there's these baffles. With the baffles closed, it's going to force the majority of the air to these ports located throughout the RV. However, with them open, it will allow the majority of the air to fall right here. Handy option if you're in here cooking, you may want it to, the majority of the cool air to be right here in the cooking area. I think that's it for our tour of your, or orientation of your new RV. I hope you found it informative. Obviously, there's a lot of features in these units. Very easy to forget something. If I did, I apologize. However, don't be afraid to give us a call, and we can help you as best we can and make sure you're more than comfortable using your RV for the first time, as we want you to enjoy your new purchase and have the most fun that you possibly can. Thank you for your time. Congratulations and enjoy.